Welcome to an episode of Decoding the Static. I'm your host, Xavier. This is my co host, Nate. And today we are launching our very first episode. This is the pilot. I'm very, very excited about this. The title for this episode is actually called Fear. Fear, as in, what are you afraid of? And this is going out to all the men out there. What are you afraid of in life? Is it family issues? Is it your faith that you have wavering in your life? Is it finances? Is it your job? This is a topic that most men don't really get to sit down, especially with other men, and talk about the trials and tribulations that they're going through in their life. So I have my co-host Nate right here, and what we're going to be doing is we created a space for men to come up in here, or women to come into this space and basically talk about the things that they're going through in their life, because I feel like everybody has something that they're going through. And what we decided to do was create a podcast that basically decodes that static, if you will, something that will allow us to help you or even help ourselves. You know what I mean? This is a very therapeutic place, a very therapeutic space, for you to get it all out on the table, to be vulnerable, especially as a man. We don't get that opportunity to be vulnerable with each other, and to just say, hey, brother, it's okay. Let it out. Don't hold it in. So
Into
that's
that.
pretty much what decoding that static is. And without further ado, man, what's up, Nate? How you feeling today, man?
Man, I'm feeling good. It is good to be here. It's good to bless this virtual stage. Finally, that's a right.
Finally.
Finally, it's good to be here. But honestly, I'm just eager to get into it and really just chop it up. This is a really important subject, like you said, and I know there's a lot of particularly young people, young men, and women who struggle with that. So I would love to just dissect this and see if we can really give them some tools that they'll be able to either undo some trauma that was done from fear, or it can set them up and give them weapons for fear that they may be coming up to in their life. So 100%.
Yes, I definitely agree, man. I'll actually start it off. One of the things that I feared the most was not feeling worthy. And what I mean by that is I know, being the leader of my family. Let me break it down to you. Like I say, Dakota Static, this is where we give real life stories about things that we have endured in our own life to, help you guys out there. Uh I got married young. I got married at 20 years old, and my wife at the time was 24. We were about 6 years apart, 25, 24, something like that. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was a young kid. I'm the oldest of seven,
Yeah.
oldest of seven kids, five sisters, one brother. And basically, from where I come from the hood, Houston, Texas, Acres Home, the hood. You know what I mean? So from there, all I knew was I didn't want to be where I was at. I want to just be
Mm.
gone, just get away from the trials and tribulations of what I grew up. It was pretty much my mom, seven kids, no father in the house. God bless her. I don't know how she did it, but she did it.
Mm.
And then one day I met my wife, and she pretty much took me away from all of that. And I knew that I didn't want to just continue to be a boyfriend. I wanted to be a husband one day. And we got married. You know what I mean? I ended up coming out to Ohio, where we both went to college, and she became a pharmacist. So instantly, she started making like six figures. And me, I'm still trying to find my way, because it was kind of like her whole deal to, like, like, we're going to go out here, we're going to get married, we're going to push you through school. And then next thing you know, I'm like, all right, well, we did what we were supposed to do, but what about me? I'm still out here trying to figure out my own way. And you talk about not having pride. At least you say you don't have pride. You say it ain't affecting you. Your girl is making six figures, and you still out here making $15 an hour as a drawing blood at the time. $15 an hour, maybe $12 an hour, and you got a woman that's making six figure. That's the type of do you feel worthy? Because as a man
I
that
feel
that just got married,
that. Yep.
you see where I'm coming from? A man that just got married and your wife is making six figures, most men would have been comfortable. Most men would have been like, "Hey, man, look, making all this money, I'm about to chill. I
Relax.
ain't gotta do nothing. Yeah, I'm about to relax and this and that." And it's like,
Like,
no,
babe,
I
your
still
PS,
wanted, huh?
like, babe, buy me your PS5.
Right, right. But
New
I
game comes out.
still, I still wanted my own.
Right. Yeah.
And basically I started like job hopping and trying to find my way. I was like, okay, I'm over here, I'm over there, I'm doing I'm in school for this, I'm in school for that, I'm trying to go to medical school and stuff like just doing all types of stuff, but not really doing anything. You know what I mean? Not really putting forth an effort into anything.
That's big.
And I don't know if this is anybody out there, but what happens is when you find yourself at your lowest, that's when, and I don't want mean to get biblical, but that's when the devil wants you the most, is when you're down there. Because once he sees that you're down there amongst all these people, he like, oh yeah, I got you. I got you. And
Wounded.
what happened was I started hanging out with the wrong crowd, started getting in trouble doing the things that I wasn't supposed to do, even in my marriage. um, because of the people that I was hanging around, and I started to notice like once I got my education, once I started to get back in church and stuff like that, once I started to find Christ, that's when I started to elevate. And then I started to notice the people around me started to change. And then I started getting those blessings that I've always seeked. And let me just go back to the whole like the struggle.
You dropped the bomb
So
there, though, but
so
go.
so huh?
I said you dropped the bombshell there, but go ahead. I'm
So what happens is, and let me ask you if you ever felt like this, Nate. When you ain't got money or when you're broke, is
hmm
when you want to pray, is when you want God in your life, and when you want to get on your hands and knees and oh, I need you and this and that. Oh, but when you get that house or when you get that car or when you get all this money and life is just so good. Remember, she was making the money, not me. But I'm living the lifestyle as this young 20-year-old who think he got six figures because he's married to the person that's making six figures. This is the mindset that
yeah.
I was in at the time. This is like I said, we give this to you raw. I'm being completely honest. This is how I was at 20 years old. Um, when I was with mama and them seven kids in that one bedroom apartment on the floor. I'm talking about we ain't have no beds. When we went to the laundromat up in Houston, Texas, we would go and grab the grocery bags or whatever, the big black ones, and we like this. All of my sisters and brother, and we're literally walking down the street to the local laundromat to wash our clothes.
Uh,
And then we would take those same bags and then we would go to back to the house and we would literally just write out the bag because we ain't have no drawers, we ain't have no dressers, we ain't have no beds, we ain't have nothing. Like that was my life growing up. So fast forward, like I said, that's when I wanted God the most because I was like, there got to be a way. There got to be a way. Lord, take me out of this. Take me out of that. Why is it, Nate, that when God started to bless you and you start to get this and you start to get that, that you feel like you don't need God no more?
because and not to get biblical like what you said, or not to preach, but like the Bible says, where there is peace and safety, behold, destruction is near.
Ooh.
So it's like if you don't in those moments acknowledge him, you know what I'm saying? Like how they put the one up and they acknowledge Roman Reigns. Yeah, if you don't acknowledge God during those, I mean, not just thank you Lord for this food, but I'm talking about really sit down on your edge of your bed and be like, yo, I didn't have to have all this, but thank you, God. You gave it to me. If you're not doing that and saying, now, God,
Mhm.
how can I give back to you? What can I give to you since you've given me everything?
Yeah,
And he's gonna allow something to happen to bend your knees to speak to him. If
that is heavy.
if we don't bend the knee in the moment when things are great, when things are awesome, he's gonna bend our knees. And I use two scenarios, and both if we ever look when tragedy hits this country, what's the first thing people are doing?
Brand.
That's it. And it's sad that it takes tragedy to move us to our knees. But that's literally, this podcast ain't about preaching. It's not about prayer. It's not about it's not about that. We're talking about fear. But hey, if it's leading in this direction, so be it. But I'll say this in case of point is that we gotta learn how we're using that energy when things are good versus when things are bad. You know, because things can turn over really quickly. And that's when we really, when things start getting taken away from you, that's when you start to think differently. For some guys out there, they might be just on the high of their life, running around every weekend, shelling out. And we tell them, yo, man, you living a fast life and just chill, chill, chill. Like, nah, I'm good, man. Hey, I'm for the party till I drop. You know what I'm saying? But then guess what? When they're in the hospital all alone, think about it. They're in the hospital and they in that bed, and all you hear is beep,
Hmm.
beep. It's like time is eternal, and you have all the time in the world to think about your relationships, to think about what you did last week. It's like life is replaying in that moment. So is this? I think it's just part of life, just teaching us lessons. We don't learn lessons, and you don't learn lessons in victories. You learn lessons in defeats, and that's just it.
Hmm. That is so true. That's why you might look at somebody like they're crazy when they start dancing and shouting when they're at their lowest, because that's a person of faith. That person knows that something's coming. That person knows that a breakthrough is coming.
Right.
They know that he will not leave me nor forsake me. That's what that person's thinking. You know what I mean? And to go back to the whole fear topic. So, like I said, I was praying for God to show up when I was broke.
Mhm.
But then when I got that Benz, I felt like I didn't need him. When I got the house, I felt like I didn't need him. When we got the income, I'm like, oh, the prayer stopped coming, the affirmations stopped coming, the
Uh,
going to church stopped coming. Then you get comfortable, and then you really start letting them creep up in your head. Is there a God? Is God real?
Jesus.
Is there? I'm like,
Oh,
wait a minute, this the same young boy that used to sit on the front row with his grandma? That boy is questioning, is God real? Are you serious? Because you think you up here now, and then sometimes God got to say, let me humble this young man and bring him back down here so he can really understand. And that's what happened, with me and her. And I got to a point where I started to live a life of fear and unworthiness as a man, as the leader of the household. And it really hits you when you have kids, because when you are the one that they look to provide, to protect, and this and that,
true.
you're like, oh crap, and like I say, she already had a head start with the money that she was making. So it was like me, I'm just like jumping all these hoops to just try to get to where I need to be. And I would take this job or take that job. I would go back to school. I think I went and got my associates, then I went and got my bachelor's. I started elevating myself. I could have just drowned and said, you know what, I'm not worthy, I'm not going to do this anymore. And that's why I say kudos to her, because of the woman that I have in my life. She could have said, especially in 2025, she could have been like, look, you ain't nowhere near close where I'm at, and I need somebody that's gonna elevate me and this and that.
Oof. Right.
Men, men. If you have a woman who is standing by your side,
Oh,
and you know in your heart you ain't worth it. But she gets on her hands and knees and pray for you every single night,
mm,
like you're worth it. Boy, let me tell you,
it's a gem.
that's ooh we.
It is a. I'm gonna tell you something, bro.
You
That's
talking about a vessel from God showing you that He is real, man? Come on, he'll use His children.
and let me. You know what the acronym for fear is?
What's that?
False evidence appearing real,
I've heard that before.
and it's that, but it's crippling. And my mother's the one who told me that. She she actually did a sermon on it, and she broke that out, and I was like, and so every time I was scared of something, I would think about that, and I'm like, okay, so this is false. And it didn't click until one day I was watching something and they were talking about fear on TV. It was a TV program and it was like a kind of a seminar. And they were like, you know what's interesting about fear? 9 times out of 10, the things that we fear, there's like 1 in a million chance of it happening, almost to never happening.
Hmm.
It's like it's raining outside and you seeing thunder, and you know you left your phone in the car. You know what I'm saying? But you scared because you're like, man, I didn't want to get struck by lightning. So you're
Right.
out there, you dashing out to the car, and because you like, man, I ain't trying to get struck by lightning. But that fear, literally, they tell you, oh, you got like 1 in a million chance of getting hit. I mean, granted, there are those people out there. Well, shoot, I was that one who got hit. So what you gonna say to me? It's like, well, in that case, and that's crazy. But there,
Right.
what I'm saying? But it's still that 1 in a million chance. Like the things that our minds, the scenarios that are our minds, our brains, that they feed us. You know, compared to what was your story, that is that is amazing. But it's a story of growth that I think that's even worthy of a book right there, of writing a book, because there's a lot of young men out there who need to listen to that story and understand the importance of two things: the importance of prayer, and also knowing who God places in your life, and knowing who we call him the enemy, knowing who the enemy places in your life. Because I
Hmm.
always say it, like there's people that God puts in your life for a reason, and then there's some that the enemy replicates. He puts them in a bow with a golden wrap with a pink bow on it, and says, "Hey, this one's better." And a lot of times we're like, "Ooh, I like that over there," but God's saying, "No, trust me, you don't need that. This is what you need."
Yeah,
It's
you're good over here.
versus the needs. It's I want that, but God's saying you need this. You
Yeah.
know, and so many situations I've been into in my life where being married now for 3 4 years, and just so many situations I've come up upon where I've said the exact same thing, like, God, I thank you. I know why you placed her in my life. I know why I married this woman. He
Hmm.
affirms it through every situation we go through, because she is right there to lift me up, to build me up, to pray for me, to make sure I'm good. She gives me a safe place where I can crash out if I need to. You know what I mean? And she don't judge me for it. That's the most amazing thing, because when you talk about like that fear of not feeling adequate enough,
Yeah.
it changes you. It changes how you're always thinking that people perceive you as lower. So a lot of times it's hard for you to bring your real self out to people or show people your heart, because you're trying to compensate them and how they view you and how they treat you. You think that if you're vulnerable, that they gonna take that and melt it into a bullet to use at you later. That's what you think. So you don't get vulnerable. You tend to just always you keep people at a distance, you love people at a distance. So thank God for her and allowing that vulnerability and allowing a place where I can be vulnerable and not feel like I'm being judged. Because I don't know, have you ever like been going through something and you call a friend on the phone and you start talking to them, you start sharing your heart, and you get that oh crap feeling? I shouldn't have told her to do this. I shouldn't have told her this because now they making weird remarks. Now they making, you know what I'm saying? Like I should have kept that to myself. I should have never called this person. Have you ever gotten that before?
Not really, only because I'm very private. I think this is the most I've actually spoke about. Now, the only person that I will talk about that with is my wife.
Yeah,
Um, and I mean, I'll tell you something that happened. I want to say 3 weeks ago. So I, I think I don't know if I told you, but I'll say it again just for the viewers.
yeah,
It was a Sunday morning. We was about to go to church, and we were actually about to switch churches because the church that we was currently going to, bro, we haven't seen the pastor in weeks. We had just recently started going. We ain't seen the pastor in weeks. They didn't did um what do you call it? Baptisms. They didn't they didn't had guest preachers come and this and we like, where's the main guy at? You know, the choir is booming, everything is great. So I'm we my daughter is making eggs. My wife is helping her. My boys are on their tablets. They're just kind of like sitting there playing on their tablets. Me, I'm on the other couch. And I don't know if you've ever done this while your wife and your child is just kind of just doing their own thing. You're just sitting there viewing what's going on. You're taking all this in because and as men, and I'm sure I'm probably not the only one, but as men, our brains are going 100 miles an hour all the time
yeah,
and they don't know it. We're constantly thinking about things, you know, because she'll basically come up to me and be like, "Babe, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." I'm just in a thought, in multiple thoughts. I'm thinking about the bills. I'm thinking about what we gonna eat. I'm thinking about just all types of random stuff. I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about all type of stuff. And at that moment, I was sitting on the couch, and sometimes I just zone out and I think about Houston. I think about the struggle. I think about the shelter home. I think about my family. I have survivor's remorse or survivor's guilt. You know, the person that made it out, the person that's doing good, but they still back there doing bad. And I look at where I'm at. You know, like I said, I look up, I look at my house, I look at my kids on their tablets. We ain't had that when I was a kid. I look at my wife. I look at my baby girl making eggs on her little step ladder with my wife. Like I'm looking at the scene of a successful, blessed young man. You know what I mean? And Kurt Franklin was playing. You know, we had, you know how it is Sunday morning. You got the gospel music on. You know, they making the food. And my wife was like, "All right, everybody to the table. Food's ready." I'm still sitting on the couch, full tears. She can't see me from a distance from where the kitchen is and where I'm at in the living room. She couldn't really see the tears, but them songs was hitting, and I'm just taking it all in. Like, and you know, when you as a man, when you get to doing that with your mouth, I, bruh, it was taking me out.
woo,
But
yeah,
so she putting the 4-year old in the high chair, the kids they about to eat. She's still looking at me like, why you ain't moved yet? What's going? What's?
mm,
And then she came and she got closer and she looked at me. And she's, oh my god! And she, are
yeah,
you okay? And she hugged me and this and that. When I tell you, I cried like a 6-year old on
man,
my wife's shoulder, and
ooh,
it was times where we were going through financial, situations. And usually when it's financial, it's because it does affect the kids. You know, when you have to make financial situations and you have to make all these different, decisions and stuff, it's usually the kids that are impacted. When you can't do for your child, when your children want stuff and they confuse why you can't do it for them, but they see success, but they don't see success. You know what I mean? Like you don't see the success like they see it because they think, oh, we got it going on and this and that. And you're like, nah, you don't really know the story
yeah,
of what mommy and daddy really got to go through every night. Um, so man, I was bawling in my wife's arms before church. And what she allowed me to do was be vulnerable for the first time. And I can't remember, she allowed me to be vulnerable. And what I mean by that is I got to tell I'm in her like bosoms, like in just in there, and I'm talking on some like I'm like that. And I told her, I give up. Like I give it to you. I give it to him. I'm tired. Like this is what I'm telling her. I said, baby, I'm tired. I'm giving it to him. It's yours. You know what I mean? Like Yolanda Adams say, this battle is not mine. This is yours. Like take it from me, because for so long I was leaning on my own understanding. For so long I was trying to do things that God only does as man. You know what I mean? And I was like, look, this is way more than I'm. Nah, this is you. I'm giving it back to you. I'm trusting in you. You take it, because for so long, and maybe other men feel like this too. I feel like I had all this weight on me as a husband, as a father, as a man, and I never told my wife how I felt about all the pressure until that day.
Yeah.
When I tell you, it felt so good to just let it out, to cry, and it's so funny because I seen the clip of like, I think it was like a round table with a whole bunch of like guys, and it was like a female there, and they were talking about being vulnerable and this and that, and she basically called them weak, and that rubbed me the wrong way, man. I don't understand how being vulnerable to your girl is looked at as weak, but that shows the immaturity of that woman to
Yeah.
think that way, because a man who has pent up aggression, a man who has pent up stress, he's only going to lash out one or the other, one way or the other, and you ain't going to like it.
Yeah.
So let that man let that out the way he sees fit, and you receive that, and you give him that vulnerable space to let his emotions out, because y'all gonna let y'all emotions out. So let me let my emotions out the way I see fit, and don't look at it as weak. Look at that as a sign of maturity from your man.
Honestly, it's a sign of strength. When we are
Yeah.
when we're able to be vulnerable, it's a sign of strength. That means that we are sure of ourselves. I think that that is us recognizing the situation that we're in and reacting to it. There's so many men who don't have that. They lack the emotional intelligence. So they ball it up. You know, it's like balled up sheets of paper. You keep throwing it in the trash. Eventually, the trash gets overfilled. It gets,
Mm-hmm.
when that trash gets filled, it spills out everywhere. So you got these guys who are crashing out, and people are like, "Oh, he's always been so calm, cool, and collected. I ain't never heard him do this." Well, it's been there. It's been there, but it's gonna you're gonna release it. I don't think the hardest of the hardest release it. It's gonna happen because we were not meant, and that is a misconception that they have put on us. We were not meant, and when I say us, I mean human beings. We were not meant to carry these burdens. We were not supposed to be in this world carrying these burdens like that. We were supposed to be here, but then pass it on to God and say, God, this is, I'm giving you the rest of it because you can carry it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, but everybody has that breaking point, like what you said, where you're just like, I give up. I had the same moment when I was, me and wife, we did our routine. I was fine the whole day. Sat on the couch, sat there, and just tears falling down my cheeks. She come over, hey, what's wrong? Put her arm around me, start wiping them off, and I'm just like, I can't no more. I just can't. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm tired. Like I'm sick of this, and I just start. Dog, I don't even know where it all came from. Just started unloading
Mm-hmm.
and was doing balling like a baby, just like what you were saying, balling.
But can I say something real quick before you go? Most men feel like they're the only ones,
Yes,
and it's not true, fellas. You are not the only one.
definitely not.
You feel like you're the only one, but you're not. I'm telling you, A lot of men out there, I'm sure,
A lot of
going through
people.
the same thing.
I was talking to my homeboy today, and he was telling me like, "Oh, this is months ago," and I was like, "Hey, man, I know you haven't heard from me in a while." And I was like, "Hey, man, I was going through some things, and I should have called you, but to be honest, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was like kind of in a weird funk." And he was like, "You should have called me, man. Like, hey, we got to learn how to do better. We as men, we can't just shut down. We got to learn how to talk about it." So I
Yep.
will say this, men, find if you ain't got that counterpart, if you don't got that rib, that help me, find a brother who you can confide in. There's get a therapist. That's underrated. Get somebody who you can confide in and talk to. If you go to church, find a brother in the church or go to the pastor, talk to somebody. But here's the thing, I say find somebody you can confide in, somebody you can trust. It's all about, here's the thing, we have to be, as what the Bible says, we got to be humble as a dove, but wise as a serpent. You know,
Mm,
and it also tells us not to cast your pearls before swine. Don't just talk to anybody for anybody's sake, because not everybody has your best interests. You understand? There's some people who they will say that they do, but they really don't. So you really want to make sure that you're confining in somebody that is able to listen, who's confidential, who ain't gonna talk about you. And not only that, too, they're not just giving you sound advice, but they are an example of their own advice. Because let's face
yes.
it, some people will give you good advice, but they right there with you in the bars, pouring themselves a glass and then pouring you a glass too, and saying, "Drink up,
Right.
man. You gotta give it to God, bro. You gotta give it to God. You gotta give it here. Here, take this. Let me get one for myself. You gotta give it to God, bro." And you sitting there getting drunk and you filling the hole with alcohol. But guess what? After it all fade away, you gotta wake up to the same battle that you were just trying to escape. Those
Hmm.
them temporary stuff, it don't do it, man. But only when you are able to relinquish that fear, relinquish that weight. Like how they say, an injured fighter relinquishes their belt, their title belt. You got to relinquish that weight to God and say, you know what, this is too heavy to carry. The burden, the responsibility is too much. So I'm gonna give it to you.
But what do you say to those people who are lacking the faith because of their fear?
And that's just the thing. Faith is a whole nother wide subject, and I'll tell you this: when it comes to faith, faith is something that is fierce. Faith. When I hear the word faith, it's something that is action. It's like lightning. It's something that it will propel you forward. Hear me out. When when we have an idea, when something strikes in our head, we have faith that when we go to work, we're going to work the whole shift.
Hmm.
There's faith that is belief that is based on repetition, because every time I put the key in the ignition, I expect it to start because
Hmm.
it's by repetition. But then there is real faith, which is, you know what, hey, um, today I might get fired to my boss, but I'm gonna try to talk to him, and I'm gonna show them my heart and try to talk my way out of it, and hope that they will find their heart to have a second chance. It requires a little stature of faith, just a little bit of faith, for you to say, you know what, I'm gonna go stand before them and say, you know what, I know y'all want to drop the hammer. I was wrong, but listen, I've spent time looking at this mistake, and if you give me another opportunity, I promise you I will make it up to you, because you know I belong here, and I feel like in order for me to grow, I have to learn from my mistakes. And I'm asking you for an opportunity. It takes a little bit. It's like what the Bible says, right? We keep getting back to it, even though it's not biblical, like we said. But a mustard seed of faith can move mountains.
Yep.
And I understand for the people out there who got faith issues. Listen. I got sometimes I got faith issues too. Like I said one time in a song, you know, you said that a mustard seed can move mountains, but I got a boulder, and sometimes I can't even move a sandhill. You know,
Mm.
like you know, like I get it. It's all in the same. The thing about faith is it's one thing. It is your belief in knowing God and knowing that hey, He's gonna do what He said He will do. Here's and God will always do what He said He will do, but we have to meet Him where it's at, and that's where faith comes into play. If I'm looking for
Yep.
a job, I can have faith all day. Oh, God got something for me. But if I sit on the couch playing 2K all day, then that faith ain't gonna get me nowhere. But if I'm
Yep. Because
patient saying, okay, this is it, the right one's coming, I'm doing my part. I'm meeting him. There's an old saying that says, um, when men have done their best, angels can't do more.
mm.
You feel me? So we have to put ourselves, we have to pick up the ball sometime. And it's like, even this week, my mom was talking about, there's a story, not sure it's in the Bible, and I'm gonna land with this and let you and pass you the rock and give you the alley. But there's a story where there's a guy who was traveling and his cart fell in a ditch, and he was sitting there praying, God, like, oh, help me get out this ditch. He beating his mule. Come on, come on. Like, we got to get out of here. We got to deliver these goods. He's like, God, please help me, help me. And suddenly a voice said, man, put your shoulder to the wheel. The man got behind the cart, put his shoulder against it, and pushed. And just like that, he was able to move the cart out the ditch. But
Wow.
there's the other story, right? There's a guy who there's floodwaters all around. He's sitting on his rooftop. He's saying the helicopter comes by. Hey, hey, man, like we got you. Come on up. He's like, nah, nah, go save the other people. There's other people in the water right now. I'm good. I'm on the rooftop, so I'm good. He said, okay, all right, bet. Hey, we you ready to come up now? We just got those people. Nah, I heard some voices back there. Go get them. Go get them. Okay. Hey man, this is the last stop. You want us to get you? The waters are rising. Nah, go ahead. There's other people that need help. Well, what happened? Ain't no more chopper came. Ain't no help.
Mm.
So he drowned. My man got to heaven and said, God, you said you would never let the flood waters overtake me. Isn't that what your word said? That I could walk through fire, wouldn't get burned, that the waters would never overtake me? He said, you're right. But I gave you 3 opportunities and you turned every single one of them down.
Mm.
God God gives us opportunities to exercise our faith. But do we recognize them and do we take them?
That is very true. And to piggyback off of that, you can have the faith, but if you don't put in the work, and you can see where I'm going with this, then all that's dead.
100%.
Faith without work is dead. And I
That's
mean, man, look, case in point, I lost my faith years ago. I questioned God years ago. And I was at the point, I was at my lowest. Like I said, I was hanging out with people I wasn't supposed to be hanging out with. My wife was being an just unbelievable wife, mother, all of that. And I had to come to my own breaking point. God really had to like humble me and
100%.
show me that He loves me. And I had to. It takes somebody to understand that when God is humbling you enough to show you that I love you. It's almost get like giving yourself an ass whooping. God is whooping your ass like your mama. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm gonna give it to you raw.
Okay.
you getting a spiritual ass whipping from him, because the street lights was on and you knew you supposed to be in that house before the street lights come on. So
Hey,
now
not a
it's
second.
like I said 6 o'clock. You walk here 6:01, we got a problem.
Well,
So he had to bring it on. Yeah, he had to bring it on home. Come on with it. So once I got myself together, then like I said, my faith increased. I went back to school because I was doing a lot of because this is another thing you do. You complain a lot. You complain about where you're at in life. You don't you point the finger at other people and what they got going on, or you play the blame game. You play the blame game to everybody, and it's like, no. When are you gonna look yourself in the mirror and take accountability for your actions and realize that you are the reason why you are where you're at, not anybody else? And definitely don't blame God, when it comes to that, because he ain't got nothing to do with what you were going through. Those were your mistakes. So as long as you own that and you decide to turn your life around and live the way he wanted you to be, then you will get the results that you want. So while I was there as a phlebotomist, crying to everybody about making $10 an hour, while I was the one who decided to get my associate degree making $22 an hour, while this dude that got his bachelor's degree that I'm training was making 30 something dollars an hour, and I'm over here bitching and complaining, excuse my French. I'm over here upset with him because I had to train him. And like I say, these are real stories. I'm keeping it raw on Decoding Aesthetics so you guys can understand where I'm coming from.
yeah.
I was training a guy who had more education than me, but we were doing the same job. And I was getting frustrated with that because
Okay.
I'm like, well, why am I not making what he making? Oh, because he went to school longer. So I complained for about a year. And then I said, you know what? Why don't I just go back to school? Just go back to school and do the same thing he did,
Yep.
got my degree. And this is where the faith without works comes in because I increased my faith. I put in the work. That same guy who was making $30 an hour, yeah, he's doing what he was supposed to do. But I put my head down for 2 more years. And this is where I say my cup overfloweth because when I came out of school, I had a supervisor position, a position over the guy that I was training. I was complaining about this whole entire time. God said, if you do what you're supposed to do, I'll show you. I will prepare a table before your enemies. I will show you exactly the type of faith that you said with that mustard seed that I had. Because when I was at my lowest for years, like I said, when my wife was making all that money, I
Yep.
was living a life that I wasn't supposed to be living. And then I put my head down and I did what I was supposed to do. And there's men out there that I want to talk to. If you put your head down, you do what you have to do, and you get your faith right, I'm telling you, you start living Christ like, you will get to the place that you need to be. When you start, people always say what you should add, what you should add to your regimen, how many reps you should add, how much fruit you should add, how much this you should add. How about take away? How about take away the people that are in your life that ain't
Yep.
giving positive feedback to your life? How about taking away the video game or take away the TikTok, take away the TV time,
Got to.
take away some stuff, and then you can be able to see clearly what God has for you in your life. So, like I said, I was going back to school to go get where that guy was, and then all of a sudden, God said, "No, no, 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 no. I'm going to give you more. Now, I want you to run the entire lab, not just be." See, sometimes when we ask God for something, we only see what's right in front of us, but God is already seeing something that's way down the line. And that's what he had for me. And that's what I wanted to tell everybody out here while we decoding this static real quick is that God has a plan for you.
Yes, he does.
And as long as you walk by faith, not by sight, and you just do what it is you're supposed to do, I'm telling you, you will turn this thing around. You will feel worthy because that was one of the things that I talked to my wife about is that when I'm gonna put, man, come on, we about to talk. Look, my wife is a pharmacist, and the money that I was making was her taxes that they was taking out of her check. Put that in perspective.
I
The money on my check take home was the taxes they were taking out of her check.
Hmm.
If you didn't catch that.
Ah,
So now where I'm at is totally different. And those are the conversations I was having with my wife of not feeling worthy. I am the husband, I am the man of this house, and
society
I'm
don't.
not making what I wanted to be making at the time. I didn't feel worthy. I felt low. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like didn't deserve her. But that's why I say when I cried in that woman's arms, man, it came all out of me because she doesn't understand what she did for me. She took me from Houston, Texas. She took me from the beginning when I was 19. She took me away from all of that. And
Yeah,
it's been a blessing ever since I've been with her because as long as I was in Houston by myself before her, all I knew was apartment to apartment, shelter home to shelter home, struggle to struggle, mom's friend to mom's friend, project to project. That was life for me
whew,
from birth to 18. Oh, we gonna get into these testimonies. Like I said, this is the pilot. This is episode 1. And this is what we doing on Decoding the Static. We keeping it raw.
I'm, I'm,
So
I'm with it. I see.
she took me from all of that. And that's why I say, if you got a good woman in your life, appreciate her. I'm telling you, tenfold, bro.
You
What's
got,
up, Nate?
you got to, because man, that, and you know what? It's funny because I can relate to that a lot. Um, you know, if I'm, since we being transparent and everything, so I haven't worked since January 31st. I was working for a healthcare company, got laid off, so I said, all right, cool. Well, all right, I'm looking for another job, hey, let me go ahead and, what I'm saying, like, work out, get fit again, probably swing some basketball, using my time wisely, you know what I mean? Like, seeing what I can do to pour into me, while I'm waiting and applying for jobs. And then some jobs weren't hitting it. I'm like, all right, I gotta find something what's going on. And it just occurred to me, and I was praying one day, and I realized something. There is a reason why I'm in this season. Out of all the years I've been working, I've never before been out this long. But I realize there's a reason why I am in this season. And in the middle of this season, too, every time I went to my wife, I said, hey, um, you know, I think I need to focus on my health. Working from home is a beautiful thing, but unfortunately, if you're not purposely exercising, eating right, it can really take a toll on your body. And it did. It took a major toll on my body. And like, I was seeing some warning signs. And honestly, me getting laid off probably saved my life because I'm able to be active again, playing basketball, working out, and it's a big difference. Everything's in has improved, and not only that too, but looking at every situation, she said, "Sure, babe. Like, if that's what you feel, if that's what God is leading you, sure." And one day I said, I think I want to go back to school. I think I'm going to go back to school. Um, there's a I'm trying to get into this university and transfer my credits, and I can do this, and if I do this I can get a job here. Oh baby, I'm all for it. Sure, whatever we can do. And I'm sitting there like, dang, this is crazy. Like, man, I'm in a situation I never thought I would be in. Like, I'm thinking, like, what I'm saying? Like, here we are looking into the future, got a 2 year old, and I'm sitting here like, dang, like, yo, I haven't had work. I've been trying to look for work. But in the midst of that, God has showed me so much. And I've had those moments like you where I've just driving home listening to music, picking up my son, and she's in the car next to me, and we're just talking, and then them tears just start falling.
Mm.
There's a Christian hip hop group called Social Club. Uh, Shout out to them, by the way. They're an awesome group. Um, if you ever watch this episode, show Social Club, keep doing what you're doing. Um, but they got this song called "I Believe," um, and like it's a really kind of upbeat song, you know. And it says, um, and it's just like basically like, do you believe in what you cannot see? I know God is watching me, even though it's hard to see. Do you still believe in what you cannot see? I
Mm-hmm.
know God is watching me. I know it's hard to see, and then he keeps going. But then it throws you off because the very last verse, the last chorus before the song ends, they slow it down. Every time I'm listening to the song, I could be working out, playing basketball, driving, and that line comes in where it says, like, Jesus, you picked me up from the inside. Um, you were listening to me all the times when I thought it wouldn't work out. And you told me that it would all work out as long as I believe. Lord, I believe, I believe. And it's like it slows down. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
try because I'm probably a terrible singer. I ain't trying to mess it up. You know, People go back and listen to the song and be like, yeah, that's not what it said, Nate. Like, but anyway,
Right.
but the essence of it is every time that part comes on where he goes, I believe, like I get tears because it's like I get like a split second where I'm like, yeah, God, I believe. I believe. I know you're making a way. I know that there's a purpose for the season. When I come out of it, and that's just the thing. Like, people might be like, "Oh, Nate, why ain't you a preacher?" I thought, preachers they supposed to be this, they supposed to be that, and it's just like I'm as real as they come, man. Like, yeah, I'm a preacher, but you know what? I'm also a human being. Like, I live that humbly. I don't. Me saying I'm a preacher is not a shout out. It's not anything a gloat. It's not a. It ain't a necklace. It's just me saying, listen, that's my calling in life. But many times, if any, before I can go out there and speak to other people, I'm dealing with personal things in my life that I'm asking him the same questions that you're asking him, and I got my answer, and that's how I'm able to talk to people and give them the path and say, this is what you got to do because I've been through it and because I've lived it and I know it works. So anybody right now who feels like nothing's happening, like you've been trying, the Bible tells us don't grow weary in well doing, because in due season you shall reap if you faint not.
Mhm.
Do not grow weary. The worst thing you can do is compare yourself to others. Don't compare yourself to other men. We always compare ourselves to other men. We do sometimes. That's the worst thing we can do, because everybody has their day. Everybody has their day, good or bad. We shouldn't compare ourselves. God deals with, he says that the blessings of God fall on both the just and the unjust. So we have to understand that God treats everybody the same. They're all individuals. It's not oh, he's doing more for him than me. Some people may say that, and they like to think that God loves them more than other people, but nah, he loves us all the same. He gonna look out for us more the same. But the difference may be in exercising that faith. The
Mhm.
difference may be how they are navigating the situation. You have to. So if you listen to even the Lord's Prayer, it says what, when I go down to wow, I can't believe I'm forgetting this. Y'all don't y'all don't hold me to it, but um, you know, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Right? Check it. Many of us have men, and you just told it, X. You just told your story. many of us have walked down some valleys of death, and we're still standing to this very day, and it's by God's grace. But the one thing I like about that verse is that I shall fear no evil. What is telling? That means that you are standing strong. You got to stand up to your fear. You have to be like David. You got to stand up. Listen, my and I'm not giving it a shout out, but I have a movement. It's called Putting Down Giants, right? And it all derives from David and Goliath. David stand two toes with Goliath. He was not afraid. He said,
Hmm.
"You want to go? Let's go." That was David. We have to look at fear. We have to be, it says we have to be vigilant. You have to be militant when it comes to things that you want in this life. You almost have to be very militant and very direct, vigilant, because guess what? The enemy out there is not playing any games. He ain't gonna be soft on you. So you have to up the ante. You can't look at your situation and said, "Oh, because I did this and this that, you know, it's not gonna happen to me." You gotta pull yourself out of it, and you have to fight. And I know that sometimes that's hard. Believe me, I know firsthand. I know it's hard, but I guarantee you one thing: if you ask God to help you and you get out there and fight, He will not let you lose.
Facts. I totally agree with everything you just said, man. Oh man, this was good. This was good. I'm looking up at the clock now. We did good. This is episode one. Like I say, the pilot, fear. I'm looking to. You want to give some final thoughts or um?
Yeah, I mean, and I know that we covered so. Oh my God, we covered so much today.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I feel like any final thoughts would probably send us into another conversation. We're feeding off each other. Nah, man. Just honestly, to the listen out there, if you're dealing with any kind of fear, emotional, spiritual, uh, whatever it is, um, do not let it overtake you. The Bible tells us that for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, peace, and a sound mind. And whenever we feel fear, anxiety, all those things come on upon us, it also tells us that we have to submit every high imagination, every thought under captivity to God, meaning that we have to, in a sense, uh, take control of our thoughts and not let our thoughts overrule us. When that anxiety comes, when that fear comes, you have to battle it. And one of the ways of battling it is honestly is telling yourself, speaking it, telling yourself, no, I am not fearful, but I am strong. If you got, hey, if you got your Bible and you read your Bible, turn to those verses that say, hey, the Bible, go ahead and turn to the verse that says, "For the Lord has not given me the spirit of fear, but of love, peace, and a sound mind." You know, um, read that, combat it with, because where every thought that comes along that we know that the devil plants in our heart, there's something in the word that God has given us to combat that thought, to say, no, that was a lie.
Yep,
And
that's true.
when he tells us that we're inadequate, when he tells us that we're not as good, that other people are succeeding and we will never reach what they have done, just look in the Bible. Just look at all the people God has used. Check this out. None of them were superstars. None of them were poster boys for movements. None of them were the larger than life characters. They
Hmm.
were all simple nobodies, simple, ordinary people who everybody overlooks day in, day out. And God looked at them and said, I am going to make you larger than life, not because of your stature, but it's because your heart is larger than life. So, case in point, it all begins at the heart, man. Uh, if you got the heart and the will to do what's right, I believe God honors that. It says, a broken and a contrite heart I will not despise. He looks at that heart. He honors a true, honest heart. And when we are true, vulnerable, and honest, that immediately throws fear and anxiety out the door. And it sets us up for greatness, for us to overcome and go beyond what we didn't think was possible to achieve. And we
Facts.
heard that in Xavier's story. When he released it, God took him further than what he had imagined. Stop right
That's hey, I love it. I love it. Cause sometimes when it's in you, you gotta let it out. And I rather you let that organic feeling you have out because whatever you're saying could help somebody else. That's very therapeutic. We need that. So that's why I say I'll let you go as long as it's coming out and it's organic.
there, man.
Hey, you let it rip. And just to kind of add a little my final thoughts, something that I've started to do is guys, if you go into Grok or a Chat GPT or whatever AI that you use, if you type in a Bible verse and then you tell that software to give you the affirmations for that Bible verse, it will do that. And basically, what that is let's say it's a Bible verse for whatever, um, it'll give you an affirmation, something that you can say daily, and that is sort of your daily bread. That's something that you can feed yourself every single day when you wake up. This is something, once again, I give it back to that woman in that room. She put me on to this. I have daily affirmations that we read together before bed and the first thing I wake up. Because if right now your routine is you wake up and you check Twitter, or you wake up and you check Facebook, or you wake up and you check an IG or whatever, you're not doing it right. If that's the last thing you go to bed, oh, let me go scroll through my feeds real quick, make sure I'm locked in on what's going on. What you don't realize is you're subconsciously training your brain in the wrong way. You know, that's not how millionaires train themselves. That's not how billionaires train themselves. People who are mentally strong, physically strong, people think about people that go to the gym every single day that eats healthy and this and that. They feed their body, they feed their minds the proper nutrition, figuratively and metaphorically speaking. They feed themselves only good things. So like I say, taking away things and adding the good things in your life. So get you a daily affirmation, get you something that you can say over and over to yourself. Be your own cheerleader. If you don't have anybody else to cheer for you, be that person for yourself. That's what daily affirmations are for. If not, you can read the Bible as well. That is also a great guide in life, to help you with your faith or help you with anything that you're going through. But yes, what I started was daily affirmations, and that's pretty much what I kind of wanted to, let everybody know as we close. So, with that being said, this is the pilot episode 1. I am your host, Xavier. This is my co-host, Nate. This is Decoding the Statics, and we will see you guys next time.
Yes, sir. Doses.